This is a 2008 Nissan Pootroll. It had a 5-inch lift in it with 35s, but that's illegal in Western Australia, so we're pulling the lift out. Actually, the lift's already gone. I'll throw a photo up. It used to be a pretty neat car, but it's been a bit flogged, used and abused, and it's the 3-litre. It eventually did the ZD30 thing and blew up, so we bunged an LS in it. What's caused all the problems for it. It's just been melting wires left and right, so we're going to replace the wiring harness with this, try and neaten her up. Hopefully we don't burn any more wires and get this thing back on the road. Look at this mess. I'm not looking forward to this. So it was a 5-speed manual, now it's got a 6L80 in it. Got the tap up, tap down module so that we can use the sports shift. Not that it's anything like a manual, but you know, still it's handy when we're towing. So this is something we're going to be installing while we're at it. This thing runs the Nissan ECU and the GM ECU at the same time, and for some reason the guy who did the harness, I don't know what the fuck he did, but the water temp goes to halfway like as soon as you turn the car on. So I've got to add a water temp gauge. I've got an oil pressure gauge and I've got a boost gauge. Then I do have, God, I hope it's on here, there is a wideband sensor in here somewhere, wideband gauge, which we're going to need because when we start tuning for boost, it's probably going to lean out. So anyway, no time like the present, better get stuck into it. I got tired of trying to troubleshoot wiring, figure out what wire does what, so I started a cable register, and every single termination has its own unique ID and a little description of what it is. It should make troubleshooting in the future a little bit easier for us. So I'll shrink wrap these labels on, and then I'll shrink wrap some clear over the top to help protect the labels, and it should be a nice neat looking wiring harness, I hope. Doing. Here's a good example. When doing the engine conversion, don't damage the rubber grommet that comes with the factory in the factory firewall with the harness, because you'll have to replace it with something like this. But the benefit of that is that I'm redoing all the wiring. So you can see here there's a water temp wire there. It's got a unique ID. There's another one there, and another one there, and another one there. And basically every single wire, that's my brake controller input. Every single wire has a unique ID, so it's inconvenient that I had to change the harness, the way the harness goes through the firewall, but at the same time it's kind of beneficial because I end up with a significantly better wiring job, or finish anyway. So these are the wires that run the lockers. There's other wires in here that'll run like intercooler fans and all that sort of jazz. The only downside of this thing is it's negatively switched, not positively switched. So you have to ground out the inputs to make them come on. So I'm about to run an accessory wire in. When I made the harness, I neglected to include a wire for switching the Motec on. So I've got to, once I add in these oil pressure wires, I'll also add in a pull down resistor, which will pull the pin which is normally sitting high. It'll pull it down by default, and then I can switch the logic inside of the Motec to make it switch on and off with positive current instead of negative. And yeah, that should fix the problem up. It'll come on with the accessories. There'll be a little CAN bus controlled keypad inside the car that'll control things like fans, spotlights and whatnot. I can also put some logic against it, so if I've got temperature probes and I haven't noticed that something should be on or off, I can have it automatically switch them on. So we've got a problem when we tow that giant big van over there that essentially the gearbox overheats. So instead of me turning the fan on manually. I might add in a temperature switch to switch the fan on automatically, so that when we're in full drive mode or towing the van, it automatically comes on. This doesn't look like a lot of detail on my phone, but it's a spreadsheet that's actually on OneDrive on my computer. But it should tell me here that I've got oil pressure 1, oil pressure 2, A310, A311. These are A310, A311. And A310 and A311 go through L and M. So if I look on the end of this connector, I should find L and M. There you go, last two at the top there. And that's where I've got to install these things. So I'll get onto it now. Right, so I did actually assign an accessory input from the car. It's A317, and that makes it pin S on this, which is not populated. So A317, that should be clear enough. And then find it's less wasteful if you type the label twice and then just cut it with a pair of scissors, because these things, the cartridges for these printers are not cheap, and they're hard to get in Western Australia. Come on. There we go. Right, I've got no idea if that actually looks like I've made any progress or not, but I've just chopped out a significant chunk of wiring. I've got to mount that ECU somewhere. I don't know where I'm going to do that, but bulkhead connectors are loosely in. So that plates off the firewall for me. I'll install the Motec PDM. I've got to fix up my wastegate, it's just sitting in there at the moment. And once the wiring's in, I'm not going to terminate it all today, I'm just going to run in the critical stuff. Once it's all in, I can start reassembling the motor. Alright, I'm calling it. I've got to terminate the oil pressure sender unit, re-terminate the new wire for the alternator, bundle up those cables on the side. But I made some progress, that'll do. It's 38 degrees today, I'm not doing any more work. So much more to go. I just want to hear this thing making choo-choo sounds again.